Welcome to my allotment diary in East Sussex for the first week of June 2007. Now that the polytunnel's up, the main job is to get the tomatoes in. But before I do this, I've got to lay a level floor, and I've decided that this is going to be in gravel. So last week I went to the builder's yard and I bought gravel. I can only get 5 bags in the car. I can't get a dump bag because of the security on the gates, and then having to borrow it then from the gates to the allotment. So it's all going to be, as we call in the trade, stick and lift. So the first load of gravel goes down, and I used here 15 bags, so I had to go to the builder's yard and get another 6. 2 I got for free as the discount. So the gravel's now in. Let's have a big rest and let's have a look and see what's growing. Now remember those French beans I planted last week? Well, they're showing through. It's Sunday, it's warm, and the wife and I, we went down to the garden centre. We had a special offer on grow bags, and we bought 6. That's 4 buckets, 30mm buckets, and there's 30 litres in a bag. That's a 30-litre bucket, and then I needed 1 to top the top cone rings. When the compost from the grow bags have been riddled and all the lumps taken out of it, I then wet it and let it drain, ready for tomorrow. And to allow the buckets to drain freely, I placed them on 3 bricks. The cones for planting the tomatoes were from existing plant pots, which I cut the bottom off and then washed them in hot water. These were then placed in the centre of each of the 30-litre pots, central, and then filled with compost. When the compost was in, I then placed in the pot and put compost around that, made it firm, took the pots out of the cone, and before we put it back into the cone, trying it for luck, planted a length of string beneath the tomato so that the roots will grow around it and hold it in position. And that's all 4 plants planted on 4 lengths of string and them to grow up. Don't know why you're looking so pleased with yourself. How are you going to fix the other end? The plan was to fix a couple of canes to the ceiling of the polytunnel, fixed in position with some cable clips. Simples. This is how my father used to grow tomatoes. You water from the 30-litre pots and you feed through the cones. Just one simple job to do now, and that's fix a bracket onto the fruit cage, because I bought a bush tomato plant and I thought that would be a good place to put it. Out of the way, I won't be banging my head on that so often. Rain is forecast for this evening, so I thought for the main crop potatoes I'd get the fertiliser on and then the rain can do its business. But I had to return to the plot that evening because I'd left the washing up liquid in the polytunnel, and she who must be obeyed required it back. So I went back for that. And another job I forgot to do was to sow another bed of peas. I also did a harvest of strawberries and a cabbage. And then the rains came, and boy, didn't it rain, and the winds were really severe. I returned to the plot next morning to see what damage had been done. Not a lot. The potatoes have got a bit of a hammering, so I pulled some of them up, and there we've got 300 grams, which is just short of 1.5 pounds. I then watered the tomatoes, which is now a daily chore. The buckets of water had been left overnight to gain the same temperature as the polytunnel, and having used the water up, I then replenished the buckets and left them again to be used next day. Some of my fellow allotmenteers on the plot were complaining they'd got black fly, so I had a look at the broad beans, and some well, only 2 had got black fly on, and here I show it there. So it's important that I nipped out the buds, or the tips of the broad beans. And when I'd finished this job, these tips were then duly processed into the compost bin. I chopped them up first. The storm that we got last night did cause some damage to the polytunnel of one of my neighbours, but mine was quite sound. But I thought it was wise to do a job I've been putting off, and that was to weigh the bottom of the fabric down, which I will then cover with wood chip later on to hide. But I thought that was essential. I thought it was a close call. Miracle last week, my pyracanthus was in full bloom. The bees and the butterflies have done their business, and this is now all turning into berries, and it's going to be a good harvest for the blackbirds next year. But what is good about June is that the jasmine has flowered, and there's nothing better than a warm summer night and the sweet perfume of jasmine. Well, that's the end of the first week. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you've not already done so, please subscribe, but please do comment, and I'll see you next week. Bye!